solve a mystery or get prepped for a fight. Your favorite handful of die-hard dice tonight. Against those high DCs, a 20 would be nice. Please no one's die-hard dice. Need a crit, you gotta roll with die-hard dice. Let's get dangerous. Die-hard dice. Die-hard dice. Rolling scrolls and misshaped spheres, it's so hard to decide. So many colors and designs the Die-Hard can provide. Which ones should I procure? So give me some advice. You need some Die-Hard dice.
Oh well, we suggest you roll with the best.
Die-Hard dice. Let's get dangerous. Die-Hard dice. Don't need dice jail for these bad boys. Die-Hard dice.
Hi, everyone. If you're seeing me in black and white, that means it must be Wednesday, which means it's time for Obscurum, the City of Mist actual play game. We've missed you. No, honestly, it's been 2 weeks, roughly, and I can tell you this much. I know that I have missed you all, and I'm glad that you're here with us tonight. I'm going to take a moment to gush over our sponsors. So, as anybody knows out there, you can find me at Dire Bear GM on Monday night. And in order to help me keep all of my notes, I have built my entire world, this very small continent, but still with a lot of stuff in it, using World Anvil. If you have an imagination that can do anything, if you've ever wanted to build, you can do so with World Anvil. And that's how I keep all of my stuff in check. And with me running games 6 nights a week, I use World Anvil now to help me do everything. Even modules that are out there, because the players are different from module to module, I actually use World Anvil to help me keep my notes in order. It can go with me wherever I want to. I can expand upon it if I add an NPC or change anything. Fly. So, let your imagination run wild and light up the forge with World Anvil. And our other sponsor, Die-Hard Dice, which tonight I saw the video for like one of the first times. I think I've seen it before, and I have masterpiece. Somebody needs an award. Can we get on that? But no, if you want to roll with the best, make sure you're rolling with Die-Hard Dice. They're fantastic. I got a gifted a set, and I also got a gift from some of my players. One of these huge, just gigantic. Whenever they know that I roll with it, it's rolling with authority. Although I think they gave it to me because my other set of Die-Hard Dice seems to never roll below like a 10, really. So I think they were getting tired of being beat up. So go ahead and, like I said, if you want to roll with the best, roll with Die-Hard Dice. I fantastic players as always, and I have missed these guys terribly, and it's so good to see them all again. I hope that everybody had a nice, relaxing holiday, and I know that I'm itching to get back in the story. So let's do some introductions. So first, we'll start with Rev.
Hey everybody, I am Rev. I'm the host and GM of The Crit Show, which is an actual play podcast where we play Monster of the Week and other Powered by the Apocalypse games. I'm in a particularly good mood today because we got a random tweet, Chan Adventures, and he's the writer of one of the IDW D&D comics about how much he liked our show. So come check out our show. You can find us at The Crit Show on Twitter, and I am Rev Deshane on Twitter.
Excellent. Mr. Carl.
Why, hello. I'm Carl Jordan. You can find me on Twitter as RPG Carl. You can also find me on Tuesday nights for a couple more weeks on the Onyx Path channel official, playing in an Aberrant 2.0 game where we're testing out the playtest rules that are going to be released later this year. We actually had more rolls in our game last night than ever before in this chronicle, and we've only got 2 more games left. So it's really heating up.
Excellent. Let's see, Mr. Colton.
Hello, my name's Colton. I am an actor and an economics major from Montana. And you can find me online at ColtonX9 on Instagram, Z9 on Twitter.
Excellent. And Nyx.
Hey, I'm Nyx. I am an actor, director, gamer, and GM based in Chicago. And you can find me on Twitter at Nyx Tesseract and on Instagram at Nyx_Tesseract.
Excellent. And again, my name is Heath. You can find me on Twitter at DirebearAC and on Twitch at DirebearGM. I run a bunch of games. Name it, and I've probably at least sat down in front of it and read it. But enough about me. Let's go ahead and dive into the game. Now, it's been 2 weeks since we last had an episode. Last time on a heated feelings amongst some of the crew led to some decisive actions. Dr. Robert Owens, or Professor Robert Owens, was knocked unconscious, finding himself coming to in the hospital of Dr. White. Tenseness between some of the crew members led them to make investigations along their own way. However, they found a mysterious man and an illness amongst children. Come to find out that the man who was helping the self, good old Saint Nick, and the mysterious illness was tied to his counterpart, a foe by the name of Krampus. As the investigations and everything winded down, a phone call at Nyx's apartment. And that's where we wrapped. In the 2 weeks that you guys have had, and I'm sure that some of you have been fretting it, but in the 2 weeks that you've had, what have you been doing? Let's start with Professor Owens.
Well, my last 2 weeks haven't been that exciting. I've been doing some research, finally getting into the study of the Atta species that I've been working on. Over the holidays, I sent my 3 new friends here, each a gift. Just something small, a nice bottle of wine. But besides that, there's not been much for Robert Owens to do. Just sit, do research, maybe read a new good book, and relax.
Excellent. What about Dr. White?
Over the course of the last few weeks, for Dr. White, we see just a series of images, and it is progressively throughout the night of the last couple of weeks that have passed, and he keeps waking up in bed, and the room is warm, the temperature is high. Even a couple of times there seems like there's something, the lampshade or the curtains, that are smoldering but not quite on fire, and he is haunted by this fire that he knows is now inside of him that wants to get out, that he is trying desperately not to use. So he is training even harder, and that is how most of his time is spent, is at work because of the holidays, and then out at night trying to use the cold air to repress this heat.
And it has been a few cold nights. Snow is still piled up in places. The snowplow is moving it off to the side, creating mounds of grayish white with dirt and all amongst the snow. And in that time, what has our intrepid PI, Jack Kasich, been up to?
In the last 2 weeks, Jack Kasich has been trying to get back to his routine. Spending more time with the rest of these folks has been detrimental. Some cracks are starting to appear in what he normally does for a living, and the theme, if you will, that carries him day to day, night to night. Jack has been trying to do more jobs, getting his hands dirty, doing more things for money, the money that all those people around him seem to have in abundance. Trying to better his position in life, but also trying to stabilize how chaotic it's all becoming.
All right. And as we cut away from Jack trying to gather his life and gather himself back up into the routine that he's doing uptown in a nice home, Nix's or Yvonne's home, as a matter of fact, a phone rings.
Yvonne is sitting in the living room when I hear the phone ring, and we only see her side of the conversation as she walks over and picks it up. Hello? Right now. I need at least a couple of minutes to gather some... Okay, I'll be outside in a couple of minutes. And she hangs up the phone. Phone call, she was told to expect a couple weeks ago that someone would be sending a car for her. She has bought herself a minute or two. She grabs her oversized bag that contains the costume that she's put together for herself, the sanitation worker's outfit. She doesn't know if it'll come in handy because someone is suspecting Yvonne Calloway, but she feels better having it. And then in a desperate attempt to let somebody know what's going on, she grabs her phone and dials Dr. White's office.
The phone is answered by one of the nurses who is working the front desk.
Hello, is Dr. White working this morning? I need to speak with him quite urgently.
May I ask who's calling?
This is his friend Yvonne.
One moment. As you're passing by the front desk, you can see one of the nurses waving you down frantically, Dr. White.
Yes.
She just pushes the phone and then hands you the phone.
Oh, hello.
Dr. White, it's Yvonne. I don't have much time. I received a phone call the night that we got back from dealing with the sick children, and I haven't had a chance to tell you all about it, but it was a gentleman by the name of Gordon. I don't know what he wants, but he's sending a car for me, and I just found out the car is coming right now. I need to get outside. They're taking me somewhere. I don't have any more information for you, but I needed to let somebody know they're here. I have to go.
All right.
And I hang up the phone.
Yeah, and I hand the phone back, and I just one moment, please. And I excuse myself outside for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to do what I realized I could do the last time we were all out together, and try to send a version of myself, a smoke signal, if you will, to where Yvonne's house is, to see if I can use it to track the car that is taking her.
Okay. You're going to be throwing yourself out there pretty far. Her house is where you are. It could be a risky maneuver on your part because it could leave you sapped completely.
Yeah, I don't think I've got any other choice, because if I go myself, I won't be able to contact the others. So I think I need to. Do I think that it is closer? Is Jack closer than Yvonne, or the other way around?
No, Jack is closer than Yvonne is.
Okay, then I think I'll reverse that, actually. I will send a duplicate to Jack, and I will try to go to Yvonne myself.
Okay. So, you reach out, in the sense it's going to be a little less risky for it. I'll say you can accomplish the task of getting to Jack, and then you are physically going to Yvonne's place. How are you going about that? Are you grabbing a cab, or?
No, I think I'm going in smoke form.
Okay. All right. You easily travel across the room, or across the distance. Your smoke form dissipating and moving a lot faster than even human legs can carry. Yvonne, the knock on the door is more insistent.
I go to the door and open it.
All right. Outside of the door is a lithe figure in a suit that is trimmed to them properly, coming into the waist and tapered back out, flaring out slightly. Very short haircut and almost a platinum silver blonde. Turns to look at you, and as the glasses are pulled down from their face, you can see that they are not strong, manly features, but more effeminate features. The voice that hits you is husky, but definitely female. We don't want to keep him waiting.
Yes. Let me just grab my bag. And I take my time walking back over to the table and taking the bag and following this person.
As you go to get your bag, she stands there, turning to look at you, her arms crossed across her chest. Like she is definitely, and you hear the slight tap of leather on stone as she is tapping her foot, waiting for you.
Do you know, are we going far? Will we be in the car for a long time?
I don't answer questions.
Well, I'm going to need to use the restroom if we're going to be in the car for a while. Maybe I should go do that quick. And I put the bag down and run off to the bathroom.
As you start to put the bag down, there's you're not as familiar with the sound as, say, Jack would be, but it is the very loud and punctuating sound of a slide mechanism on a gun.
And I stop and turn around. So no bathroom?
You won't be long. Get in the car.
All right.
Don't forget your bag.
And I take it and follow her to the car.
She opens the door for you politely, offers a hand to help you into the car, and closes the door. The Cadillac has one of those, it's definitely like one of the executive vehicles. You can see that it has rounded seats that face each other, and in the midst of them is a bolted down small bar. And you can see that the drinks and the glass in there are all crystal and very nicely done. As you hear the front door and see the weight of the car adjust slightly as the driver gets in her seat, and the car starts to pull away. You see, oddly enough, it's been bright skies helping to melt some of the snow, but you see what appears to be like a dark cloud moving against the wind that seems to be moving over the vehicle. Jack, is it insubstantial or is it actually substantial? Like it has
A little bit of like, almost kind of like mage hand, like it's got about 5 pounds of pressure it can put out. I got him.
partially laughing, partially choking on my drink. Sorry, guys. You see, this is substantial form, mostly insubstantial form of Dr. White, who knocks on your door, or I guess kind of phases through the door.
What? Oh, right. Hi.
It doesn't respond, but it goes over to your desk, and like looks around on the desk, and with like the most recent release schedule, I imagine that if there's a newspaper, that there might actually be something about Yvonne, and it like points down and then just gestures to follow and starts walking, turns around and like walks through the door.
It points to an article that talks about it's a review of Rain on the Sidewalk. Is that what it's called again?
Sidewalk gleams when it rains.
That's right. The Sidewalk gleams when it's rain. It's a review of the movie, and it's a very glowing review. And it points at the name Yvonne Calloway, and then beckons and then starts to leave. You across town, you watch as the Cadillac pulls away, and you are able to follow it. Keeping both of these going is gonna start taxing you before too long. So, considering that, you have a choice to do one of two things. You can make yourself corporeal and put your feet down on the ground, or you can withdraw the image.
I think that I'm going to keep following the car, because my mindset would be that if I vanish from Jack, I have one of two ideas of where he would continue on to that I'll check once I know where to go.
Okay. The Cadillac is not speeding away. It's making a deliberate pace, but it's as though it's a leisurely drive. It twists and turns and winds down a crossroad, seems to be taking a meandering path that leads nowhere. Between the turning and the twisting and the moving. You continue to try to follow it on foot. Jack, the image fades, and you're not sure what happened, but you know that Yvonne is either they're trying to reach you about Yvonne or something's going on. What is your next action, sir?
Had we made it to the street?
Yes, you were out on the street.
Was it heading in the general direction of Yvonne's house?
It seemed to be heading like uptown, where she would live.
Heading there.
Okay. Hailing a cab, or are you hoofing it? Or catching a bus?
If there's like a bus or trolley or something that's readily available, doing that.
Okay. You'd have to wait for a bus. Hoofing it would take you too long, or take you a long time. You can catch a cab.
Okay, this seems urgent. Catching a cab.
All right. Hailing a cab, you provide him with the address that you've kind of know in passing because you've been there at least a time or two. Immediately, he's winding through. Yvonne, the ride is comfortable and smooth. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'll back up to from the moment I got into the car. And kind of catch everybody up to what's been going on from my standpoint.
Yes, I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. So Yvonne gets into the car, and Yvonne travels almost exclusively in her own car, chauffeured by her longtime driver, Paul. So settling into the back of this vehicle is foreign and makes her feel immediately uneasy and out of place. It's not the car making you feel out of sorts. A voice sneers in the back of her mind. She brushes this thought aside, but her mind is rolling before the car's wheels are, and the on-screen image shimmers and fades until we're back in her memory of a morning 2 weeks earlier at a house where the professor needs help. It's before, but now we're seeing them from Yvonne's point of view, starting with the moment she walks into the house just in time to see Jack Casid calmly and coldly fire a killing shot into a man who was already so badly injured as to barely be a nuisance, let alone a threat. Yvonne stares at Jack for a long, silent moment, shocked, speechless. Without a word, she turns and heads back out to the front lawn, where she focuses all her energy on the house and continuing to hide any disturbance from view. Shortly after, Dr. White exits the house as well, standing stiffly a few feet from the door. The rigidity in Yvonne's body seems to visibly soften for a moment as she sees the doctor begin to attend to Professor Owens. But then she jumps as we hear another gunshot from the house. Her shocked and frightened eyes frantically attempt to meet Dr. White's, but he is almost in a daze, focused on the professor while simultaneously seeming not entirely there. Another gunshot shakes Yvonne's attention away from Dr. White, and her panicked eyes go to the upstairs window where it seems to come from. Smoke. Is the house on fire? Another gunshot sounds. And another. And another. Yvonne is visibly shaken and beginning to crumble, and we see from the faces of a couple walking past that the illusion she's holding up must be crumbling as well. 2 more gunshots ring out. Yvonne's trembling gaze falls on Dr. White and the still unconscious Professor Owens. She takes a deep, shuddering breath, and with tears beginning to stream down her cheeks, she stares at the house and raises her arms as if to embrace it. The man walking past shakes his head, laughs with the woman beside him, and they resume their walk. A few more gunshots sound, and then we see a dazed Jack stumble out of the house as rapidly growing flames leap out through the door behind him. He walks to Dr. White and mutters something in his ear, and then looks directly at Yvonne. We see Jack's eyes, somehow both hardened and broken at the same time, trying to catch Yvonne's. We cut to Yvonne's tear-streaked face, pointedly focusing on her illusion and not meeting Jack's stare. The image shimmers and fades, and we're still looking at Yvonne's brimming eyes, but now as they gaze out of the window of this unfamiliar vehicle. The camera pans and we see what she is seeing, or not really seeing, as the car moves across the city and we hear her voice. When my brother died, no one thought a 6-year-old could handle the truth, and so no one was honest with me about what was going on. For my protection, the story went. As I grew older, I expected the long-held secrets to be revealed, but as the years passed, my parents only held more and more tightly to their claim of protecting me. That protection kept them from ever letting me in. It was a wall between us, with their secrets and true feelings on one side and my confusion and loneliness on the other. The moment I met Jack Cased, I felt connected to him in a way that almost filled the shaped hole I'd carried in my soul all these years. Kind, fiercely loyal, principled. He's the kind of guy that'd throw himself on a grenade for the people he cares about, you know? But apparently he's also the kind of guy that can look an incapacitated man in the eyes and calmly take his life in cold blood, and then walk from room to room in solemn calculation and methodically execute every single person there before burning the house to the ground. And at this moment, Nyx is going to interject for a second and talk a little bit about some mechanics here, because to fully understand what's going on for Yvonne, you need to know that as a result of last session, 2 of her themes have improved. I've got 2 theme improvements to talk a little bit about here. So first of all, as we've heard a little bit of, she is not sure she can trust anyone anymore, and she is more determined than ever to get the truth. One of the themes that leveled up is the defining event theme, the loss of James. And as part of that theme, she's got this drive to find out the truth, to find out the real story. One of the tags I've already got on there is insatiable need for truth. The level ups for that one came as a result of the need to prove myself, which I failed last week. But her reaction to that is to just dig down even more deeply into this need to see the truth about people as well as situations, and not let people that she trusts and cares about pull the wool over her eyes anymore. And mechanically, one of the improvements for that theme book is to take one of the power tag questions from the training theme book. And so the one I took, I didn't write down what the exact question was, but the tag that I'm taking now is uncanny perceptiveness. And I think that the way this ties into her training is, she's a trained actor, and so much of acting training is about reading other people and really understanding deeply what's going on in another person and responding to that. And so I think, she realizes this and sort of digs into that, and it's going to reveal itself in a new layer of being able to interpret the truth underneath what people are saying to her.
Awesome.
The other theme that is taking an improvement, expression theme, You're Gonna Love Me, which is the one that includes irresistible magnetism and nothing but me and manipulate your desires. And I think it's the same drive here that is behind this, but it's manifesting in a different way here, in that she realizes that in addition to being able to sort of take this sway over people and draw all of their attention and draw their eyes and make herself the sole focus, that she can also take that a step further and make them trust her implicitly, and maybe reveal things either consciously or subconsciously that they wouldn't necessarily reveal. And so the tag I'm adding for that is trust me implicitly.
It's like, did you just get charm person? Is that? I like it.
And so with that, we return to Yvonne and her final thoughts in the car.
Go for it.
I'm done being lied to. I'm done having things withheld from me. Jack has revealed his true self, and at least now I know. And more than anything else, I'm grateful to him for waking me up and reminding me that people aren't always what I want them to be. Seeing this side of him and the truth of his heart feels a little bit like losing James all over again, though. And then there's the professor. Such an odd man. I'm not sure I understand his motives in. He seems to put his financial interests above everything else, above this team, above any sense of morality, above even his own safety. I don't know fully how he ended up in that house without us that morning, or what he thought he was going to do, or what his ideal outcome even would have been. But I do know that if I were in danger, I'm honestly not sure if I could trust him to help me, or if he'd just try to strike another business deal. Thank God for Alexander, at least. At least there's still one person on this team I know I can trust. And with that, I'm shaken out of my thoughts and back to the present as I notice the car slowing to a stop.
You do hear the slight squeal of the brakes as the car comes to a rest. The area of town is actually very familiar to you. Familiar to you in the fact that your father's office is nearby. The building, however, is not one that you've been in. You wouldn't say it's the tallest one in the city, but it's pretty close. The door opens, and the young lady offers you a hand once again. You can see that she wears black leather gloves. She offers you her hand and helps you out from the vehicle. She then escorts you inside, walking just behind you at your shoulder, opening the door for you as you arrive, walking you brusquely over to where the lift is and pressing the button. As she guides you inside, she herself doesn't step in. Instead, she leans around the elevator door and pushes a button, the top floor. She looks at you, gives you a little salute, and the door closes.
And I wait.
All right. The elevator starts to rise. The black form of a cloud, smoke that seems to be drifting lazily through the air, but yet is still at the same time quickly moving with purpose. The twists and turns of the city don't really bother you so much as you're far above the street and can kind of get a view of what's going on. You watch as the Cadillac pulls up to a very large building, all chrome and windows. You see the Cadillac come to a stop. The driver gets out and escorts Yvonne inside. You can see the numbers on the side of the building, large. And you know the street.
All right, I'm going to hope that my guess is right, and I wrote it down just in case. But I'm going to head to Yvonne's house and hope that that's where Jack is.
Okay. Taking form once more, you lift off, now moving faster since you know the direction you're going in before where you weren't sure where you were heading. You arrive in time to see a beat-up, ugly yellow cab pull up. The black and white checkers down the side of it, giving you the indication of what it is. The bubble-like taxi sign that reads "On Duty" is currently lit up bright. Jack steps from the back of the vehicle. Cabby returns half over looking at you, gives you the amount of fare, and holds out a handful.
Counting out pennies.
He just shrugs, takes them, and says, "I hope the day doesn't rain on you."
Easy to say for someone inside.
Nah. Good luck, Gum. And you watch as he flips the meter and takes off as you exit the vehicle. The door is closed and the house is dark. There are no lights on inside. If Yvonne's in there, she's either resting or the possibility is that she's not there. Or maybe something more dire. Dr. White, you see Jack exiting the vehicle.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back into my normal form and start walking up the path towards the door.
I'm probably starting to look around for a public place that has a phone, and I assume I would see him
You do.
walking that way.
Thank God, Jack. I hoped that when I vanished that this is where I would find you. And I'm actually like seeing the taxi pull away. I have pulled a couple of bills out of my wallet and I slapped them into his hand. Sorry for the rude intrusion, but I got a very urgent call from Yvonne and it was so sudden that she couldn't even tell me what was going on, just that someone was there to pick her up. She'd gotten a call the night at the Hogan house, after we dealt with the event of the sick children the night after. She'd gotten a call and they were coming to pick her up, and she didn't know why, but I at least know where.
All right, where are we going?
And I will give him the address. We need to find a way to let the professor know. This building, I've seen it before, but I've never paid much attention to it. But it is large and almost brand new looking, but it is all windows and metal. Hard to sneak into, I think.
As if the conversation was fated to happen across town, Professor Owens, as you are in your study, Vespa wanders in carrying a silver tray upon which is a telephone with a very long cord. The receiver is laying on the tray next to it, and she hands it out to you. It's the office. It's your office, the chemical plant. They seem quite urgent to reach you.
Of course. Ahoy hoy.
Is this Professor Owens?
Yes. May I ask who's speaking?
This is Marjorie from at the office.
Oh, yes.
The crazy man that you, sorry, the individual that you hired to do something mathematical. He's been raving about reaching you all morning long.
Oh, yes.
Could you please come see to him? He's terrifying the rest of the workers. Some of the girls have asked to go home.
Yes, yes, I'll be over in just a few minutes.
I mean, why you even decided to put him up here in the first place is just, you're the boss. You're whatever you want to do, boss, but I don't know. It's just not much of a... Anyways, right. Can you come see to him? He's raving something about the pivotal point, the decision-making, something along those lines?
Yes. Let me just... Yes, I'll be on my way in a moment, and don't worry, I'm looking at out of character. What's the word where you move something from some place to another place?
Repositioning?
Yeah. Repositioning, thank you. I'm currently looking at relocating him away from the factory. So rest assured, everything will be taken care of. And then I hang up and get my driver, who I probably should have brought the list of names up before we started this session, but I didn't. See, this is why the earlier ones I just decided to do everyone's name as the same, because that was just easy, you know?
That's why George Foreman has all of his children named George.
Exactly. Anyway, I get my driver and I immediately head to my factory.
All right. Are one of you two gentlemen, Dr. White, Jack, are either of you trying to reach the professor via his via his home phone or anything?
I mean, that's the only way that I could think to do it, unless I try to call his office at the college.
Okay. Reaching out to the office at the college results in a very nice but short message from a young lady working there that tells you that the college is currently in break for the holidays and will not be returning for another couple of weeks. And as you call his home, Vespa tells you that you have just missed him, that he is heading to the office, and by that she means the corporate office, not the college office.
Do you have the address of that Vespa?
Of course. And she hands you she provides you with the address to the location where it's at.
How far, I might even have to ask Jack, how far are these two locations from one another?
They're not close.
Well, what do you think, Jack?
Man. So far, we've been working pretty well as a team. Seems like every time we split up, especially the professor, somebody gets in trouble.
Yes,
Any way you can send word to his address while we head to regroup wherever it is Miss Calloway is?
yeah, I could try. Could you call a taxi and chat with the driver a little bit? It's going to take a lot of my focus, I think, to sit in the back seat and get a message to him.
Hey, we're downtown. Hailing a taxi is much easier here.
Yeah, so that's what I'll try to do
This
is
is
I'll
true.
get into the back seat and try to a message to the professor at this address that Vespa has given.
All right. Your Jack is absolutely correct, and it is very easy to hail at this time. However, you have been running yourself a bit ragged, sir.
I have.
Okay. You get into that territory where it's going to be risky. So I'd like for you to go ahead and take a risk on this one to try to stretch yourself a little thinner than what you have been.
All right, so I think I'm going to use the one from Healing Hands, the multitasker.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I'm going to use Murder of Crows and Smoke Form to get there. Maybe through the cracks for it to navigate through town quickly.
Okay, because you're not sending yourself.
Yeah.
You're sending your form out there.
And I think that's what I got.
All right. Go ahead and give me that roll, please. Well done, sir. Well done indeed. Yeah, you tighten down the screws and go into that trance-like state, and you find yourself, like, almost immediately standing in front of the office of the chemical plant. And down the road, you can see a vehicle that looks very much like the professor's pulling up towards you.
I think that as the form is standing there, that even in my head in the back of the taxi, it's kind of jarring because it almost feels like instead of traveling there, like somehow I found some smoke that existed and just kind of jumped into it. It feels very strange and much faster than what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm. Like riding a rapids.
Yeah.
Like you just pointed your toes downstream and just went with it. Okay. You watch as the vehicle swerves momentarily, Professor Owens, not really seeing what's going on. You kind of look out the window a bit and see a form of Dr. White that's there, but like is insubstantial.
And this is right where like I would be getting off anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I get out and I initiate greeting protocols.
It's a droid? What are you, a protocol droid?
No, I've just been binging Voyager for the 3rd time over break, so all running through my mind. Dr. White, what are you doing here?
Yeah, and the figure of Dr. White tries to talk, but nothing comes out. And I think I realize myself in the backseat of the taxi, like, oh shit, I don't have a way to convey anything to him. And I'm gonna do something that I was hoping to not do, but I think in this panic of Yvonne, that I put my finger out and I lean down to the sidewalk and I summon, or I focus that fire, that heat, and like just in kind of char on the cement, you see the address of where we're headed.
Just scorch marks that spell it out.
Yeah.
It's rough, but you can make it out. It's like controlling a pen using VR. You know, you're trying to control how it writes, but at the same time, you're not actually physically touching it. So you get it out, but it looks like a kid with a big crayon just kind of scrawled it on there.
Yeah.
I also imagine your smoky forms. I'm sure that everybody has at least seen Lord of the Rings at some point in time. Whenever Frodo would put on the ring and go into that kind of an alternate realm, how the wraiths look kind of smoky. That's how I picture it anyways.
Yeah.
All right. So you see that there's an address scrawled on the concrete.
Lord, today of all days, do you need help with something? I'm assuming you...
I don't think that I hate to do this, but I think that once that energy output of the fire, I think that it blows away. I think the doctor blows away.
While you were successful in doing what you want, when you come back to, there's a huge rumbling sound in the back of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Even the taxi cab goes, "You need to make a stop, bud?"
I skip breakfast, most important meal of the day and all that.
Shouldn't do that.
Yes, that's what I'm finding out.
All right.
Okay. So, when I see this thing, I'm like, okay, I need to deal with the crazy man who's disrupting my business, but I also need to deal with this. So, first thing I'm going to do is reach into my jacket to pull out one of my bugs. But then I realize, because I was in a hurry, and I didn't think I would need any, I didn't bring any.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wherever will you find bugs?
I know.
If only you weren't in the city outside where there might be bugs.
Yes. So I am going to just sort of close my eyes and just try and find some suitable something to Myrmidon, to create a Myrmidon with.
Investigate for me.
Okay. So what tags would I be using?
You tell me. They're your tags.
Oh,
But while you're working on those tags, if you don't mind, I'm going to segue and give the spotlight back over to Yvonne. While all of this is going on, you were riding the lift to the top. It stops with a ding, the giant needle showing you that you've reached the top floor. This very filigree fine work of scrolling and things like that. The door opens, not to a hallway, but to an opulent room. Large columns of marble line this entirety of the room. There are probably 12 of them all, 6 on each side. Huge. You can see at the base of them they are rounded, but at the top of them they are smooth and they seem to be shaped into the size of titans holding the ceiling above them. Men and women of both sides, on each side. They don't have any visages that you recognize. They just seem to be generic people holding these roofs up. You see plants that align the walls of this thing. You can see gold scrolling work in some of the marble pillars. You also see art hanging on the wall. You see very large overstuffed chairs, and the whole thing is set on a plush red carpet that leads all the way down to a large mahogany desk, behind which sits a very prim and proper man. He stands, unfolding himself from the chair, tall beyond belief at the beginning. Yeah, nearly 7 feet tall, but that's not what's most impressive. What's most impressive is the frame that holds it. At 7 feet tall, you would expect something large, broad shoulders, big chested. But instead, he stands rail thin, gaunt to a point. Long fingers with white gloves on, a gray pinstriped suit. As you exit the elevator, he marches towards you. Not with purpose, but more of a casual gait that he's seemed to have honed over the years that allow him to seem to both float and march at the same time. He makes his way to you, and now standing in front of you, he's even more imposing than before. You hear a rustle in the clothing as though great leathery wings were there. He extends a hand to you. It is a pleasure to meet your acquaintance. I am Gordon Renault. I apologize for my brusqueness, but alas, it was inevitable. Please, come and sit with me. Are you hungry?
I look at his outstretched hand and very pointedly do not do anything with it and say, you're going to have to get right to the point here, Mr. Renault. I'm a very busy woman, as you know, and this is not my usual way of doing business.
Fine. Then I will get right to the point. There have been stories popping up in the news, and your name seems to be around some of them. The night of the gala. There was an event at the bank that some saw you there, but then you disappeared, not to be seen in the aftermath. Here and there, your name has been popping up. Seen at the Tilt-A-Whirl. Yvonne, if I may, you seem to be involved in quite a few things that have crossed my path, and I believe that you are not alone. Not that you are incapable, but a persuasive individual like yourself is known to draw others to them.
Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. I am a well-known and well-established screen actress who attended a theater award gala and did some banking and went to a nightclub. The gossip columnists like to detail my every move around the city. You think this is newsworthy? What exactly do you think I'm involved in here, other than doing my job?
Do the names Bill Ogan mean anything to you? Does that family name, Ogan, does it mean anything to you?
In passing, just like anybody in this city. I mean, we all know the crime lords and whatnot, if you will.
I have been putting together a small entourage of individuals. And yet every time they seem to be going after something that is important or making their presence known, you have come up. Not the news columns, the rumors, as you have said, but direct reports from those individuals. They seem that you and 3 unyet to be identified men seem to be at every turn they find themselves. For the most part, it seems to have quieted down until a recent event. I'm interested in knowing what happened at the Ogan residence.
Why?
Because the entirety of the family was caught in a fire. Well, not the entirety, but the main staples. It has left a bit of a power vacuum within the family, and I want to know what involvement you had there. My team said they saw you there.
So as he's talking, I'm thinking about F and how ultimately, at least as far as we know, he turned out to be relatively harmless, just wanted, to talk to me. But the name Hogan coming up has definitely scared me. And I'm thinking about everything I was thinking about in the car on the way over, and my resolve to not be sort of hoodwinked anymore. And so I'm going to try out this new ability that I think that I've mustered in myself. And I look him straight in the eye and I say, Mr. Renault, I need you to stop talking circles and talk straight with me right now. I don't want to know step by step what you want. I want to know why me? Why am I here? What do you want from me? The truth, the full truth. And
Good,
so I'm
Ro.
trying to convince him.
Oh, excellent. I was going to say go toe to toe.
Let's see. So
I like both of
obviously
those.
my new uncanny perceptiveness.
Of course.
And I think insatiable need for truth as well.
I would hope so.
And then from You're Gonna Love Me, that new Trust Me Implicitly, hopefully that he will feel a sense of trust to tell me the truth here.
You're basically casting Charm Person. I like it.
I think I'm gonna pull Read People from Ready for My Close-Up as well,
Okay.
if
That's a good
that's
one.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like any weakness tags come into play here?
Oh gosh, let me take a look and see real quick, because I want to say yes, but if I can't justify it, then I'm not going to.
I mean, need to prove myself might.
Yeah, I'm curious about that one.
Or emotional
And
connection.
That's actually the one that I was leaning towards, is the
Okay.
emotional connection. Especially given that it's still kind of a raw nerve what happened
Mhm.
there. And I think that might work against you in this. I almost want to say limited privacy, but I don't think it really comes into play here.
Okay.
I mean, I can't see a way for it to come into play.
Yeah, I don't
So-
think I can either.
All right, so that sounds good.
All right. So rolling
See what
convince
we
with
got.
a power of 3. Great. Okay, so that is an 11 still.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I want to give him a status of you can confide in me 3.
As you ask him these questions, you can watch as this very tall and powerful looking man, even though he is gaunt, seems to shrink. And you realize he doesn't just seem to shrink, he actually is. What stands in front of you is still thin, but not as gaunt looking. He's probably about 6'1". The hair on his head is still thin and gray, but he has more of a distinguished look about him than anything else. And he says, well, the truth be told, I am putting together a small organization that is supposed to problems that arise in the city. So be it. Your friends and yourself seem to be at my team's every turn. Not intentionally, I've gathered so far. It seems as though we are fated to be on this path So instead of working against you and picking up pieces or cleaning up fires, as it may be, I come to you because I don't know who the other three are, and two, you seem the most reasonable of the four of them. Not to mention, if you worked that trick that you just did on me on them, I'm pretty sure they would lay down a life for you. But that is the truth, and all of it.
Who are you doing this for?
My
You
own.
said you're putting together a team. Who's asked you to do that?
No one has asked me to do that. It is an altruistic thing. I simply do it because there are people out there who cannot defend themselves. And not everybody out there who is so gifted as you and I is out to harm people.
Well, I have no reason to question your truthfulness with me at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that in the moments before your gun-toting driver, by the way, not the best way to start off a positive relationship with someone, for future reference. Before your driver retrieved me, I did manage to make a call to one of those three people. And I would suspect, and I glance at a clock on his wall, I would suspect that we'll be hearing from some or all of them very shortly. So you'd offered me a drink earlier. I think I will have some tea, and we can wait for them to arrive.
But of course, any particular...
Earl Grey is fine.
Marvelous. I will have it brought up. I will also talk to Brigitte about her proclivity to pull a gun as opposed to discuss with you. Please make yourself comfortable. And he escorts you down the short walk to the desk. He pushes a button which rings a buzzer on the desk, and then he orders up drinks for you. A few moments later, you watch as the blonde lady with the leather gloves walks in carrying a tray set down with a teapot that still steams from it and several cups that match with it. She sets it down. You can see there's a bowl there and a small cream server. And she looks at you for a moment, puts her hands behind her back, and then kind of like, sorry about the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, she turns and leaves the room. The rest of you, Jack and Dr. White, you arrive at the large office building, and it is exactly as you described it. It is all silver chrome and windows.
Here we are.
Wow, that's fancy.
Yes, I left and I'm giving some bills to the taxi driver. I left a very impromptu message with the professor. We'll see if he shows up or not.
All right, Professor. You have an address. What are you doing?
So the first thing I want to do is investigate the address, see if I remember, if I know the address through any of my business things, which I think high quality contacts might come into play.
Before you roll that investigate, we did have an investigate though going on before that.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to retcon it more, so I was looking at.
Perfect. Then that's perfectly fine. You can definitely do that.
Sweet. So that is a 7.
It's a vague memory. You know about where the area is because you maybe have scouted the area out for an office of your own.
Okay.
But realized that it was too far from the warehouses and everything else like that, so you decided to go with that office building. So you kind of know where the area is. You get there.
Okay. I wouldn't know what goes on in the building by chance. Nope. Okay. So this
Not on a 7.
Yeah, fair. So secondly, investigate for the bug thing. Wouldn't I feel like it would be more change the game because I'm not like looking specifically for bugs. I'm just kind of sending out my power, just to see if it snags anything nearby. Like that.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be change the game, definitely.
Okay. So definitely my weakness tag can't summon something from nothing. Comes into play here.
That does.
And are we how I'm pretty sure we're pretty far away from my house. So would Anchored to the Hive come into play? Okay,
Yes, it would be.
yeah. And then to try and redeem
As you
this
start to
role-
realize, why did I put my office all the way over here?
Yeah. I'm trying to redeem the role at least a little bit. So, but the only tag I can think of would be entomological variations.
Okay.
Just 2 on the roll.
Yes, you can definitely use the variations because you have this the link to a lot of different critters.
Okay, sounds good. And then change the game. That's a 6.
You reach out with your mind to find one, and you found one. And as you round the corner, just around the corner, you watch as a large Norwegian brown rat pops a cricket into his mouth, sees you, and skitters away. The reaching out with your mind to find a bug is a little lost at the disturbing sight of one of your favored creatures being devoured by a...
Fair. Okay, so then I am going to just run into the building.
Okay.
Because, like, I need to be quick about this. Because I can't, send someone out there now. So I'm going to run into the building and just go to the receptionist and just say, okay, where is he? Or rather, okay, where is he?
She points. So the warehouse has a like an area above it where all of the offices are, and they can kind of look down. You can see what appears to be a storm of papers being thrown about, and it doesn't take you long before you hear the voices. As you exit the main lobby, climb the metal staircasing and across the catwalk to where the office is. You open the wooden door with glass all around, and you can see on the back where he has faithfully reconstructed the timeline that he had started on. Most of it, though, has been moved off, and it's starting from the nexus from where you all met, and you can see that it spiders off in some crazy scrawl that only his mind understands and winds around. But currently he is pacing back and forth and pointing a finger jabbedly towards one particular point in this map that he has created, and he keeps running a hand through his hair so much that you can see little pieces of hair start to come out with him running it through there. He turns and looks at you and goes, "Why aren't you with her? Why are you here?"
Okay, here, just can you come along with me right now, quick, and then we'll go where she is. Then
The
we can
arms
talk
cross. I don't believe I'll be going anywhere.
Okay, please, just follow. I need you to do this. Just if you come around, we can discuss what's happening, and then we can fix what's happening, and then to talk right here about what's happening. So I need to go now.
The large Texan form of Peter DeGraff, the crazy man, walks over to you and affectionately puts an arm on either shoulder of you and looks at you, and he goes, "Professor, I might be crazy, but I'm not running off into somewhere where people could be slinging guns and fire and all sorts of things and get my fuzzy ass shot off. So nothing
Well,
personal. And he pushes you back away from him and goes, I think I'll stay right here.
You can stay in the car. I just need you to come along with me. I just need you to make the stay for the fallout, so to speak.
Here's the point. You could be there at the epicenter as it goes down. You can see the timeline fracturing.
Yes, you
He
can.
grabs your arm at the elbow and starts marching you out, and he stops as he gets you out onto the catwalk and goes, where's your car?
Outside, right.
Excellent! And he starts marching through. He turns around abruptly, does a 180, walks back into his office. You hear the sound of paper being like tossed together, and he comes back out with a folder that has been like jammed with papers in it. And then he starts marching away again. He goes, what are you waiting on? Come on! And then he keeps moving.
I hurry out behind him, and as I leave, I sort of shoot the receptionist just like a "I'm sorry" look.
He stops at the door. He stops at the door, turns around, looks at Marjorie, and goes, I don't like you. You burned the coffee. And then leaves the door.
I apologize, Margarine. You can... I'm sorry. And then I just shoot out the door.
It's Marjorie.
Marjorie, what did I
The
say?
door. You called her butter. You called
Oh
her
my-
margarine. I want to say you did it on purpose. Like it was perfect.
No!
Professor Owens doesn't have the time to learn everybody's name. He's
I
a
mean,
busy man.
True, but... yeah,
That's just
whatever.
fantastic.
I just,
Perfectly in character.
we'll just burn those bridges when we get to them.
The door shuts. There's mumbling about, you know what? Do I ever work? I'm actually, I'm educated. I graduated from college. I'm better than this. All right, as you
Yeah, I shove, give the address to my driver, tell him to step on it, and then I, from under the seat, I pull out my, duffel bag
Bagworm.
with the, bagworm disguise in it, and, yeah.
Peter still thinks you look goofy,
Well,
and you kind of drive along.
I don't have the mask on yet, it's just the cloak right now, so, but...
Sure, that's better. So Jack and Dr. White, are you going to wait for the professor, or are you going to step inside? What are you doing?
I don't think we have any way of knowing if he's going to show up. So I think, like, looking up and down the street a few times and turning to Jack, do we wait to see if he shows up, or should we head inside? I would hate to twiddle our thumbs out here if Yvonne's in some kind of danger inside.
Yeah, I agree. The problem is the two people who aren't here are the ones that are the best at, keeping the rest of us hidden, sending in reinforcements.
Yes.
What's your plan? Were you able to contact the professor?
I was able to give him an address.
Do you know if he, I don't know, paid attention?
He certainly knew I was there.
What kind of juice you got left in you? You want to try to sneak into this place on your own?
Yeah, I think I...
I'm going to start walking around it and try to find a way I can slip in that doesn't have a lot of eyes on it.
All right.
All right. So you're going to try to sneak around?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's see if I can take a drink without choking myself this time.
You didn't set me up to hit you with anything.
Nope.
So I think that, I'll try again, but I think a couple of my weaknesses are going to come into play here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use smoke form and smoke screen Well, no, I won't use smoke screen. I don't want to fill the building with smoke. I'll use through the cracks.
Well, I can assure you they won't see you if the
Yeah.
whole entire. It is a rather large building, though.
But I think unmistakable scent is going to come in for the weakness, that smell of actual burning wood. And I think that heavy weighs the head is going to come into weakness because I've been exhausting myself.
Because you've flown across the city a couple of times, stretched
Yeah.
yourself out a couple of times.
I think I can use from my healing hands. I think I can use Port in a Storm though. Like that is just all about the fact that when everything around is bad, that I've got that little reserve that keeps me calm in the right moment.
Okay.
We'll see how this goes. Is this going to be a sneak around?
Yes, it is.
All right, just barely 7.
Whew. As you dissipate and move, you hear the the telltale sign of
Oh boy, when I clicked my other weakness, it did not go through. That's actually a 6.
ooh.
I feel like I gotta stay accountable there.
I appreciate that. It will not be. It's more like you try to tap into that reserve, but the earlier pushes and focusing the fire and everything else like that, as you try to like focus and take that form, you manage to get a little smoke clothing, and you can smell the wood burning smell, but you're still in good old Dr. White form.
Yeah, I think that like Jack is still there when this happens. That like it's almost like I just kind of go in and out of focus, and I kind of lean over and I cough, and like smoke comes out, and I kind of sit up and like my head is swimming. Yeah, I think that I might have to take the stairs or something.
Well, that's troubling.
I am inclined to agree. We've barely got this started. Hopefully there's nothing too bad going on inside, like smoke ring.
All right. I'll take the lead. You watch out behind us.
Very well.
All right. So all right, so Jack, go ahead and give me a sneak around as well. However, I'm going to put a status of a minus. I'm not going to make it too bad. I'm going to make it a -2. Because you still have, you're now taking up the presence of trying to keep yourself quiet, as well as helping Dr. White, who's used to having these abilities to help keep him, moving quietly.
Okay, so I have under Hard Nosed Detective the power tag Private Dick that I think would be applicable to trying to get into this building.
You know what? One of the things I love about the old stories is watching them wait for the door to close and then sticking their foot in and sliding in at the last second.
Tossing
I'll
a
let that
hat.
one. Yeah, tossing something like keeping the matchstick or the matchbook case in the door so it doesn't shut all the way. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like it. I dig it.
All right, and from Hard Boiled, I'm using Common Sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That gives me a net 0.
All right, so yeah, looking around, noticing the movement of any guards or anybody who's moving in and about, seeing if there's a flow and kind of things like that. Yeah, I think that works. Is there anything else you can think to add to that?
Actually, my weakness tag on both of those theme cards might be applicable. Like a sore thumb. And no badge, no backup.
I'm gonna probably say, in this situation, since you're just trying to move quietly through here as opposed to like trying to muscle your way into a situation, I'm gonna rule out the no badge, no backup.
Cool.
Now, don't forget that you are a crew. You have a theme. Dr. White, you could provide a help point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's true. I think I could use. I think that I could probably use an eye for weakness to help him out, to try to like point out where people aren't looking or what doors are cracked open, things like
Sounds
that.
good. So we're back to a net 0 with that.
Blind spots and such.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Adding that plus and rolling with a 0. Sneak around.
Mm-hmm.
My 3.
Okay, so make sure you mark your fate or crack for those, since you did. The one thing about City of Mist and about most of the Power by the Apocalypse games is that you fail up. So even though you did poorly, you actually benefit from the experience of doing poorly. So as you open the door to kind of like get in, sneaking around the building, not going in the front door, but as you sneak around the building, you can see that there is a rear entrance that allows for security in there. You keep an eye on it, and as you go to kind of like glide in behind someone, you come almost face to face with what appears to be a woman dressed in a fine tailored suit. She's wearing brown leather gloves, and the suit is kind of a tan, or actually more like a light brown, almost tweed like suit. You can see she has on a pair of shades. Her hair is cut short, but it's almost silver blonde. She kind of tilts her head to the side and she goes,
Excuse me, miss.
"Can I help you? You seem to be at the wrong door."
Maybe I am. Which way's pickups?
"We don't have any deliveries going out. Who are you?" And Jack, you see a very familiar sight of someone slowly creeping their hand on the inside of their jacket.
Look, cool your heels. Not here to make trouble. I just want
What
to
are
talk.
you? Talk to who? What are you here for?
I'm here to pick up a friend.
Let me guess. Real pretty, brown hair, kind of famous.
I take it you've seen her then.
Her hand comes. Yeah. She said a couple of her friends would be around soon. Come on, follow me.
Right. Turning and glancing at Dr. White.
I shrug.
Following.
She leads you through a few twisted corridors that apparently are on the outside of offices and leads you back around to the front. You can see the elevators. As she gets there, you see a woman that looks almost exactly like her, with the exception of a different suit. It's gray, black gloves. Haircut's the same color, same facial structure, even the same voice. What have you got there? Looks like we found the rest of the party. Well, most of it. I'll take him up. And she hits the button, and the door opens. She motions for you two to step in, and then reaches in and pushes the top floor. She waves as the door closes.
Well, that's not ominous.
Well, just think, if they cut the cables, at least you'll know.
Maybe.
That was dark. Okay. It takes a few minutes to get to the location where you're at, but Professor Owens, your vehicle pulls to a stop outside of a large office building. Not one that you're familiar with. Peter looks around you outside the window of the car, eyeing up, leaning back. That's a really tall building. The other one comes out. He might not be back for a bit. He's a bit nervous.
Yes. So just stay in the car, and we'll with I apparently didn't. I'm terrible boss. I mean, I already forgot Margarine's name, and now I'm I forgot to write down my driver's name. I'm just gonna call him Johnson. Anywho, so I nod at Johnson, and okay, so out of character question. We already, I believe I said that my bagworm stuff comes with a bunch of rope, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So here's
Silk
the
rope.
Yes. So here's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it so that the rope has a foothold. I'm going to put my foot in the rope, give the other end of the rope to my driver, Johnson, who unfurls his wings,
Because he's a beetle.
since he's a beetle, and starts flying up the tower with me hanging onto the rope to sort of get a look into what's happening. This is with the bagworm mask on. Now, Keith, I have a question for you.
Hang on a minute.
And his question is, how much falling damage does it take to kill a person in City of Mist?
No, so because
That's status 6 right there. Flattened like a pancake 6.
So because I failed so miserably, because I failed so miserably on my last roll, I improved my theme, my Myrmidons.
Okay.
And adaptation theme has this really fantastic improvement called Creative Stroke, and which reads, when I use tags from this theme in a creative way, choose one of the most affected characters and ask whoever is playing it, the MC or another player, so Heath, whether you saw that coming.
No.
They
No, I
must
did not.
answer. They must answer truthfully, and if they didn't see it coming, take a temporary status, Creative Stroke 1.
That, no, I did not see that coming, as a matter of fact.
So I am going to ascend up the building.
Okay, am I the only one that's now picturing like old school Batman, like Adam West, where they're walking like along the building, but they're like holding the rope, like slowly up? But it's kind of like that.
I'm more imagining hanging it off like a ladder that's coming off of a helicopter,
Yes,
so I
there
have
you
one
go.
foot as I'm just like
And
slowly
you're
ascending.
barking up to Johnson to hand you the bat shark repellent. For anyone who's seen the movie.
So that's what I'm going to do. And I believe...
I agree with you, that rule feels completely made up, but it's also kind of hilarious.
Oh, yeah. So I believe entomological variation and specialist species come into play here, if I'm not mistaken, plus my Creative Stroke 1.
Okay, so what tags did you say other than the stroke one?
Entomological variations and specialist species.
Okay. I will give you the entomological variation. However, specialist of this is not flying. Specialist of this is being brute.
Fair. Okay.
I am
So
brute.
that is... So that is a 2. Or a +2, rather. Not a...
That's a very big difference there.
Okay, so what would this be? What role would this be?
You know what? I'm still gonna yeah, you know what? No, taking a risk. Yes, because so many bad things are going to happen if you fall.
Okay. That's a 12.
Okay. And as you ascend the side of the building, you watch as you start to careen towards it, and you carefully catch one of the chrome cross pieces, and you bounce away from it using your free foot, and you continue to do so as you climb all the way up. Looking into the windows, however, that is not as easy as it sounds. They are reflective. Most of them show you nothing but a reflection of yourself careening around, turning as you go, until you get to the very top. The top floor. You can see that's true. It is taking a risk because you do it somehow. You can see that the floor pattern is laid out. You can see a figure standing there, about 6'1", an older gentleman, hair thinning, but he still seems to look regal. That is right up until he sees your beetle fly up, and then a rope, followed by you in a bagworm costume. At which point his head tilts to the side, and he has the most confused look of any person you've ever seen in your life. He immediately turns around to motion to a figure behind him, and you can see that it is Yvonne indeed. And you can see him mouth the words, "A friend of yours?"
And you see Yvonne just go, yeah.
I'm just waving.
If
And
only
as
we
he-
had all made such entrances.
And as he pushes a button on the desk, for some reason you can see him pushing something on the desk. You're hoping it's not the thing that makes the scissors come out and cut the rope.
The anvil.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break, guys. Give us about 15 minutes. You get about 10 minutes or so. Get up, stretch our legs, refresh our drinks, see if I can choke on water some more. But we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you so much to World Anvil, Light Up the Forge for being one of our sponsors. Also with Die Hard Dice, Roll with the Best, Roll with Die Hard Dice for being our sponsors this evening. And thanks to all of our viewers here. It looks like right now we are at 21, and that is amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Tabletop Horde, for the raid.
Yes,
you guys,
thank you so much for the raid. Awesome.
you were just in time to go ahead and take a break with us, and then you can come back and watch the rest of this craziness.
Right. Get up and stretch your legs as well. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you so much. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us and here tonight. Again, we are Obscurum, a City of Mist game, and we are set in the 1950s. Well, it is now officially 1950. During our hiatus, the new year rang in the city. We went from 1949 to 1950. And when we last left off, Professor Owens was being Professor Owens. As Johnson the Beetle flies with his package, the Bagworm, aka the costumed Professor Owens, you watch as the man that you have yet to meet, who is named Gordon Renault, tilts ahead, looks at Yvonne and goes, "Is it a friend of yours?" He then pushes a button and a buzzer rings and an intercom responds. "There will be someone on the roof in a moment. Please go escort him down." You hear a husky female voice over the intercom. "Is there going to be a fight?" "I don't believe so, but be prepared." All right. As you circle up across the top of the building, you can see that the roof, there's a lip around it, and you can see gravel and other roofing material on the top of it. There's an access point on the roof. The door opens after you kind of hover above it, and you can see a woman or a trim man in a like mint green suit. Silver blonde hair that is perfectly cut, a pair of sunglasses, and cream-colored gloves. And they're waiting for you. You watch as she kind of like waves at you like this, and then motions for you to come down.
I'm going to wave at her and then tell Johnson to land carefully down and going to wrap the rope up, put it somewhere wherever it is stored in my cloak, and me and Johnson are going to follow her wherever she leads.
All right. The elevator door dings loudly. The beautiful clockwork that shows that you're up on the top floor, the needle all the way to the side. So the door opens into a very opulent office. A long red carpet, plush, soft to the step. And you can see Yvonne sitting in front of a large mahogany desk. A cup of tea in her hand, still slightly steaming. On the other side of the desk is a thin man, probably in his mid-60s. Hair is mostly thin on top, but he seems to be very, not imposing, but he definitely has a presence about him. He stands as you enter into the area, and he makes his way down the carpet to you, offering his hand out in front of him, introducing himself as Gordon Renault. "I take it you as the associates of Mrs. Calloway? Excuse me, Miss Calloway." As he looks back and forth between Jack and Dr.
All right.
"You are apparently quite verbose. We were discussing a future cooperation with one another. We'd be pleased to have your input in this matter."
Mr. Renault, maybe you should let me bring them up to speed. I alerted them rather hastily this morning, and they probably don't know what they're walking into right now. So, gentlemen, thank you for coming. Dr. White, I'm so sorry about the call. I did not know what was happening. Right after I hung up with you, I was let out at gunpoint, and I look back at Mr. Renault again. But that's been taken care of. It was a misunderstanding. From what I've been able to ascertain, it sounds like Mr. Renault and his people want to, I guess they want to do a little bit of what we've been doing. They want to investigate and help people that are being hurt as a result of whatever is going on in the city right now. And he had connected, because of my status and visibility, that I was present at a lot of these things that have happened lately, and thought that I and the people I was working with may be a good starting point. He wants to see if we can work together. Have I missed anything, Mr. Renault?
No, that was succinct. I mean, there are embellishments, but we should wait for your other associate to. And about that time, the elevator dings once more. And this time you watch as Professor Owens and Johnson are escorted from the elevator. This time with 3 women. Each of them identical to one another. Each one of them wearing a different colored suit. 2 of them, Dr. White and Jack, you have seen. Yvonne, you've seen now all 3 of them. Professor Owens, they sort of like, not roughly, but kind of abrasively, kind of like push you and Johnson out of the elevator. And they look at Gordon for a moment, and he just kind of waves a hand, and you watch as the one in the gray suit, who kind of stands a bit forward from the other 2, nods her head, and then they push the elevator and it closes. The 4 of you and Johnson are in the room with Gordon, who begins to speak. I apologize for the abruptness with which I have introduced myself, Ms. Calloway. I promise you it will not happen again. I am truly... I need assistance in this. A certain twist of fate or destiny or some such has decided to move the pieces that we are as a pawns in the city to cross paths with one another. I have been looking for individuals who are gifted as I am and as you are, Ms. Calloway. And I assume that your associates are as well, although the one in the frumpy jacket, it doesn't really impress me that much.
He's more formidable than you might think.
I will take that under advisement.
Don't worry, Frenchie, it's mutual.
I've not been called this in a long time. And he holds his hand out and he offers his hand to you, Jack, and he said, Gordon Renault, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Looking around at everybody else, stepping forward and shaking his hand. Jack Kaysen.
Ah, excellent. It's a pleasure. He then steps next to Dr. White, in front of Dr. White. Gordon Renault.
Nice to meet you. And as I look at him, I have taken an advancement on Lenses of Lorm, which is specifically kind of to go along what we have been dealing with a lot, seeing through the mist to see what someone might actually be.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to try to take a look at him to see what he might be hiding.
All right. So... He stands he looks to have a stature that is just awing as you look at him. He has this sort of presence, but you don't get any maliciousness from him.
And I'll shake his hand and step back.
He nods at you, and it might I know your name, sir?
I'm the
yes.
bag word. Oh, sorry.
No, I meant I was talking to Dr. Owen or Dr. White on that one.
My bad. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, I thought that was great in character.
I love the idea of him pushing me aside to shake his hand. My name is Alexander White.
It is a pleasure, Dr. White. And the bagworm, you say?
Yes. To make your acquaintance, Mr. Renault.
You're a strange man. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance as well. I will not. I am powered by much like you are. I have something that has awakened within me, but not recently. It has been with me for a very long time. I will assume that most of you have had a similar experience, no?
Well, 3 of us seem to have discovered whatever it is that we can do when there was strange thunderstorm about a month and a half ago. But one of us has been in a similar situation as you, where these powers, or whatever you want to call them, have been with them for much longer.
I do not know much about my history prior to my awakening. I realized quickly that I had abilities, and I found myself here. I found myself within this place. It were not for the 3 women that you saw, I would be lost, probably dead by now. It is they who actually helped me until I came into my own. I realized the power that is within me. Let me ask, have any of you familiar with mythology?
I've been reading up on it as of recently. Applicable now to our this here situation we find ourselves in.
Oui, it is. You are... Is that an affectation of your voice that you hear it?
Don't worry about it.
All right.
Robert, he's been nothing but honest with us.
I as much as I can, wearing a insect mask, I'm going to try and shoot Yvonne a look, just like
She sees big eyes.
just like as soon as I hear my name, I just immediately just snap.
And I just look at Gordon and I'm like,
Well, fine, if you wish to maintain your identity, keeping it safe is... I understand completely. I put together a small group of individuals whose job it was is to investigate situations where those who wield a power may not have been doing so with the greatest intent. They were not to harm anyone, they were merely to gather the information and then deliver that information to me. The families, as they have been affectionately called by everyone here in the city, have started to work together. Before, they either kept to their own, allowing no one to take their territory, or they fought fiercely. There is something that is moving. I think that you 4 have already experienced this, no? I had a team that was put together to face off against one of the families. Large, very imposing, foreign accents.
Kharkov?
That is the one, Kharkov. I have not heard back from them. They were investigating Ogan the morning that the incident happened. I'm not aware of what happened. However, I do know that Your disguise was excellent from the reports that they have given me. If it were not that they knew who you were, they would have you. A passing glance would not have seen you, Miss Calloway.
None of your people were in that house undercover or anything that morning, were they? And I look
No.
at Jack.
No. They, in spite of everything, when they saw that something was happening, they left and reported back to me.
Good.
I don't know what happens that day, and it is not up for discussion with me. That is a discussion that you all must have, but I will say that it was troubling, I'm sure.
To say the least.
I was in Marseille when the attacks happened. I traveled to Paris, my home, as quickly as possible. I remember this memory. I don't remember much, but I remember this. I traveled home and I heard that there were invaders pushing in. Quickly as possible. That day was the first day that I had ever taken in life. It is not an easy feat, and I wish it upon no one. And no one but the truly twisted and sick do it without some remorse, if you will. I don't know what happened that day, and again, it's not mine to decide or to talk about or discuss. But I wonder if what was done was not what needed to be done. But I digress. The individuals that I have put together are innocuous. They are human. They are normal. They are working for me doing investigation. They have no idea of the abilities that some of us carry. They are oblivious to it. They work as the insurance adjustment. They simply take a look at the situations and see what's happening. I've given some of them information, primarily the three sisters that you have met. They are gifted and touched much as we are. I need a team that has an understanding with one another, at least, of what is occurring in the city and occurring with others. There is a power, I believe, that is moving among the city that is yet to reveal itself, and I have a terrible feeling that it will leave immense destruction in its wake. And that is why I have come to you. My offer is that I will fund you. I will give you a place that is away from us. I will make sure that you have all that you need to live not only the life, but also the after hours work that I will be asking of you. It is not a decision that I expect you to answer immediately, so I understand that you will need some time, but I fear that time is against us, and if we do not have a decision quickly, that we will find ourselves divided amongst something that will make easy pickings of us, if I'm clear.
Well, Mr. Renault, you know who I am, so you know that, at least from my standpoint, having access to funding is not an issue. And the bagworm also has the ability to fund us. We've managed so far with staying out of sight, having places to work. I don't know that you've offered us anything yet that we don't already have. And so my question is, this feels one-sided at this point. You would be getting really be getting anything in return that we don't already have. Why not just work together as opposed to us working for you? Why not just your team and the four of us consolidate forces, share information? But I don't. I'm just is that requires us to work for you.
Work with, work for. Semantics.
Big difference.
I will give you access to the information that I have. And he marches back to his desk and slides open a drawer. He takes out an envelope or a folder. It's not
I
very
immediately
thick.
get defensive.
He holds up his hands and he holds up the folder. He closes the drawer. He walks back over with it and looks at it for a moment, and then he hands it to you, Yvonne.
I open it.
Is a small write-up, a dossier. The information you are familiar with. The name at the top of it gives you pause. Your hands are unsteady. Because at the top of it is written your brother's name.
What is this?
It is everything that I could find about your brother. Records of the incident, statements from anyone who was there, any bit of information.
Why?
As a sign of good faith, as a sign of that I am willing to help you, to find answers, to look into things, to do the legwork that you, with your famousness, may not be able to. How easily would it be for you to walk into a morgue or a mortuary or a records department and say, I would like to find the records on someone, without being harangued by a million people, photos taken, questions being asked, your reputation being
I don't know how much stuff is in this folder, but I want to flip through as much of it as I can and see, is there anything that jumps out at me? Is this stuff that I would already know, or is there anything here that jumps out as like, oh, he found something. He actually found something that I didn't have access to, or I didn't already know?
Yes, there is a bit of information in there. And it is something that you would not have had access to. Police reports, more importantly, though, things that your parents may have obscured from you or kept to protect you, are laid out here. It's not a definitive answer as to what happened, but it's more information than you've had.
Just like evidence and stuff like that from the
Right.
from the okay.
Exactly.
I think at that, seeing that, I'm going to be out of commission for a bit, because I think I sink back into the chair and am just poring over everything now, kind of oblivious to the rest of the room.
My job in the world is to broker information, to find things for people, to answer questions that they themselves have not found the answers to. That is my ability. I can't give you direct answers, but clues and things like that.
Mr. It was Renault, right?
Renault.
Mr. Mr. Renault. I have one question for you. Each of us, at least me and a few others we have met, seem to be more of our powers seem to be based on some sort of mythological character. Do you know, would you have any clue on who yours would be?
While my abilities give me access to the right questions to ask and the bit of information that is needed, the things that you need to know and how to find them, has eluded me as who am I? Other than Golden Renault.
Okay.
Is there a way to, as he's having this conversation, and I just want to make sure I don't feel like he's so smooth that he's lying to me.
Yes. So there's not really insight in this game. However, trying to read someone and things like that would still go along the lines of the investigating.
Yeah, okay. So I think that I will use under observation, which is that new, and boy, I think I'm going to use my, I haven't talked about this yet, but my other expression has gotten a power called Burning Core, which is just kind of that inside of him now that he can't really quench all the time. And I think those are really the only two, unless you think Eye for Weakness, if I'm trying to see through his veneer, I suppose.
Yes, I would say that definitely plays into it.
Okay. Whew, 7.
As you're
8, doesn't matter, but I still have unmistakable scent for some reason. He scared it out of me.
oh, sorry.
Like a squid.
Yeah. Sorry, you made me ink. All right, so we're kind of giving him the scrutinous eye, which is less intimidating than the stink eye, but still noticeable. He looks over at you and he says, I can assure you that I am earnest in this matter. I am only looking for is willing to work, and I will recant my terms and say with, not for me.
You have to understand that we are all slightly hesitant. We, all of us here, have been in situations before where things have been asked of us or for us, both in this life that we now lead and our professional lives, in a very to show the smile and then hit with something emotionally devastating, which you have just executed perfectly. So you have to understand if all of our guards are up.
Of course, which is why I press the matter no further. I would love for you all to take the time to discuss this. I only mention that time may not be on our side, as I have a feeling, not a definitive answer. As I said, my ability does not lead me to the answer directly, but to the clues and the questions that lead me to the answers. And I just have a very strong feeling, whatever this power is, that it is making its way and will be making its move quite soon. I don't understand what it is, and it may not be physical devastation, but if it topples a structure such as the ruling power here, the mayor or whomever, then I fear he will have unfettered access to the people. And trust me, my goal here is not to protect the people like yourselves. You have your own abilities to do that with. My goal is to protect those who walk around with no understanding of what it is that we can do.
MC.
Mhm.
Can I use a move?
What move would you like to use?
Flashback.
Yes, you may.
Perfect. I want to cut back to about, I don't know, probably 10 minutes ago, maybe a bit more, when I'm sitting in the car with Indograph driving to this location.
Yeah. Okay. It's probably about half an hour ago.
Half an hour ago, then yeah. And I would like to ask him, what's the course of action that you would say would lead to the best result? Like what is the Indograph timeline suggesting that we do?
He looks at you with an expression that can only be described as confusion and incredulity mixed together, and the perfect cocktail with 2 olives going, I don't know, the time yet. That's the pivotal point right here. You have to make the decision, but I can't tell you what the decision is because I don't know. One decision will lead to bad stuff. Don't choose that one. That's my advice.
You know what? I'm not sure what I expected to happen.
Turnabout is fair play.
I was like, do I get a stroke of...
I know, ride the beetle.
to be... That's the best solution. Get to the top of it all. No, to be fair, though, I pull that a lot on you.
Okay,
poor Colton. I feel like I slap him down so hard sometimes.
Nah, it's fine.
Johnson gives you wings.
Hey, I mean, I feel like I do the same thing too with
The
just
entendre that's available in there, I'm just going to leave it alone.
Oh, right. This is why we moved away from that name. Anywho.
Because I'm 5.
Yeah, I am. Okay, well, that doesn't help me.
Excellent move, sir.
Okay, Mr. Mr. What's Your Name, and instead of saying what's your name, Robert actually says his name, but since I'm Mr. Renault, okay, thank you. Mr. Renault, one more question. I'm looking to see if you've heard a name, a very specific name. It's I believe it's Norse in origin. It would be, have you ever heard of your...
I mean, I know what it is. It is a snake that wraps around the world. It's supposed to devour the world. Ragnarok, it is Norse mythology, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Is there a significance to this that you know what? Do not answer that. Once I have earned your trust and you are working with me, I will ask further. But
All right. Now just if we could just talk in private, that would be
you and I.
No, us 4.
Oh.
Or 5 rather, with Johnson here, and I sort of pat him on his carapace.
All right. But of course, please, my office is yours to use. I will. Are you hungry? Please, I'm so rude. I will get you something to eat. I will be back in a moment. Is there anything that you do not have? Dietary restrictions? Dairy? Nuts? All right.
He pushes the button and heads out.
All right.
Leaving just
So,
the 5 of you.
Sort of take off my glasses and just start cleaning them.
I'm still pouring through the stuff. I've been kind of listening to this with half new information in front of me about my brother's death for the first time probably in 20 years. I'm just pouring through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, what are we thinking here? Do we trust this person? I should explain, one detail might be interesting. So Indegraph called me this morning and said today was a pivotal moment. So, that's interesting. And he didn't give me which choice would lead to good and which choice would lead to bad. But I personally am inclined to think aligning ourselves with someone who knows a lot of information, and I gesture to the folder Yvonne is currently leafing through, and someone with, I don't know, possible duplication powers, or whatever those three were, might be in our best interest.
Indograph told us he had seen before everything fell apart was that it almost seemed like our coming together and working with you, Yvonne, caused the problem. That something about our influence might be the reason that you went down the wrong path. So, as obscene as this idea might be, if you were here alone, if this man had come out of nowhere, and you had never been using your powers, you were still simply having your nights and your days the way you were used to a few months ago, what do you think you would have done in this situation?
Well, until you said the part about not using my powers, I would have 100% said that I trust him, because before you all got here, I pressed him, and I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I feel like the things I can do have grown, matured over the past couple of weeks, and I got the sense, I mean, I have no way in just how I feel about it, but I got the sense that I compelled him to be fully honest with me. And so I think what he told me before you all got here is true. And I believe that he wants us to work together for the greater good, that he doesn't have any ulterior motive beyond that. Now, to go to what you really asked, which is if powerless Yvonne had showed up here. I mean, I don't even know how to answer that in light of what we've gone through in the past few weeks. I think the only thing I would be able to focus on in that instance would be this information that he's provided me. And I guess ultimately my answer would be the same. I think if he had presented me this folder that contained, for the first time in years, new information, something that I was not able to find with my resources, I think that would be a tremendously powerful sway. I think I would have to go with him.
I realize this is a very, very loose nail to hang my hat on. But thinking about the four of us here in the room, my impulse is to not trust this man, to continue doing what we have been doing, knowing we could do it on our own. And I won't speak for you, Jack, but my impulse says that you're weary of him also, which makes me think we work with him, because it would be our influence that would cause Yvonne to not work with him. And if it's something that's our influence that caused her to go down the wrong path, it could be our distrust of those that we don't know in this moment. But again, that is a very loose nail to hang my hat on.
It may be the only one we have right now.
What do you say, Jack? If given your gut, would you trust this man, or would you walk out and work on our own?
On that question, Keith, MC, can I make an investigation check on all of the conversation I've been watching people have with this man, with the questions they've been asking him, and get my read of him as well?
Certainly.
All right. I would like to use bullshit detector, logical deduction.
Perfect.
When I see it, I'll know. Never lose at rock, paper, scissors, and asking questions.
Yeah.
And because bullshit detector comes from my hard-boiled personality, I'm rolling with dynamite.
Awesome.
And I got dynamite.
Ho, ho, ho. All right. Your
investigation reveals a key detail.
Okay. One of the key details to it is that you know a liar. You've been around them, you've worked with them and chased them down and everything else like that. You've also met honest people. And you understand how sometimes they're gullible and things like that. Unless they are hardened like you are. Because you're honest, but you're not gullible. This man, even though he seems to be a bit strange, seems to be cut from the same cloth as you. He is honest, but he has also seen the hurt in the world and has not let it fade him, but instead he's standing up for it, or standing up against it. The one thing that was revealed about you, though, is that, or the one thing that's revealed about him is actually the three ladies. Something he said in his conversation, if it weren't for them, that he would probably be dead in the street somewhere. You get the idea that while he is the lead, that the true power may come from them, although they do heed his word. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, I'm taking a moment to look this guy up and down after Dr. White's question. And I'm saying, hey, Frenchie.
Well?
Pay close attention to my words. You're curious what happened at the Hogan house. We don't like being influenced or manipulated or bought. We don't like bullies. There's one less bully to get all of us in trouble. Do you get my meaning?
Which is why I recanted my word to say work with me. And if you decide to part here, I will not pursue it any further.
Your word.
My word.
And he offers his hand to you. Before he does, he's had these white gloves on. He pulls the gloves off. Pulls the one glove off and offers you his hand.
taking a step back away from his hand and saying, I'm wary of guys with white gloves.
Of course. And he pulls the other one.
Turning to Dr. White, I don't like him, but he hasn't said a single word that wasn't true.
All right, Yvonne, I think this is your call then.
I look at each of the three men, and then I look at Mr. Renault, and I look down at the papers again, and I say, well, I think you've got yourself some partners.
He puts the gloves on over hands that actually like thin, bony. And you can see while he has glow about him, they seem almost like powerless. And he puts the gloves back on and he says, I look forward to working with all of you. Welcome to Obscurum. And with that, we're going to close out for the evening.
Ooh.
Thank you very much, everyone, including all of our cast, everybody watching out there tonight. A huge shout out and a thanks. We're going to let everybody give their information, what they're working on here. And let's start with who had our spotlight for this evening. Yvonne Calloway, a.k.a. Nix. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, I am Nix. I'm an actor, director, gamer, and GM based in Chicago. And if you are going to Midwinter Gaming Convention up in Milwaukee this weekend, I am going to be there running this game, not Obscurum, but I'm going to be running a couple of sessions of City of Mist. So if you are digging this game and want to learn a little bit more about how it works, come see me on Friday or Saturday morning, and or just come say hi. I'll be there all weekend.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And let's throw it over to Colton.
Hello, I am Colton. I am a actor and economics major from Montana. I'm on Twitter at ColtonZ9 and Instagram at ColtonX9.
Excellent. Do you have any other projects or anything else that you're working on?
I have some possibly happening. They're in the works right now, but other than Obscurum, nothing at the current moment.
Well, we're glad to have you. And let's take it over to Carl.
Hello, I'm Carl Jordan. You can find me on Twitter as RPG Carl, and you can find me lurking around Twitch as Just a Carl. I am here on Wednesdays, obviously, and on Tuesday nights, for the next couple of weeks, I'm on the Onyx Path official Twitch channel in a Aberrant 2.0 game called Community Service. If you like the characterization that I do here, myself and the other 4 players in that game all play not only our characters, but all of the major NPCs. We swap off and change hats and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, give it a watch. It's great.
It's great. It's one of the most fun games I've ever played. And we're trying out a rule system that it's very difficult to get a glimpse at otherwise.
Excellent. And Rev?
I'm Rev. You can find me on Twitter at RevDeshane. I will also be at Midwinter GameCon running Monster of the Week. Monster of the Week is one of the Powered by the Apocalypse games that we run on our podcast, The Crit Show. We have new episodes every Wednesday. Well, technically Thursday at midnight, or Tuesday at midnight. And actually, also, the other thing is that we are having auditions. We are taking local submissions until the 15th of this month. We are auditioning for some additional content that we're going to be putting out through our Patreon.
That's a week from today.
It is a week from today.
Excellent. And I have been your MC. My name is Heath Halbrooks. You can find me on the Twitterverse as DireBearAC, where I post funny things and just thoughts and reply a lot. A lot of my tweets are actually replies. You can also find me running my own show my own game on Mondays on my Twitch channel at DireBearGM. We actually run 4 nights a week, and Monster of the Week is actually one of the shows that we run on Wednesdays. But I'll be here because it's City of Mist and it's amazing. But anyways, I will be in February. I will be in Fort Wayne, Indiana for Winter Fantasy. It is D&D all weekend long. I'll be there for 4 days, running tables for 8 hours a day. because I'm a madman. On top of that, you can find me here every Wednesday, and anytime the Nerdsmith says, hey, let's do something, you can find me. Anyways, it has been a fantastic privilege to play with all these guys tonight, and thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week. Take care of yourselves.
I want to insert. I forgot. I will also be at Winter Fantasy, and I'll be helping run a D&D LARP. If you can make it, it is a lot of fun. It's going to have a direct impact on the Moonshae Isles storyline for next Chronicle and Adventure League.
And I got to see the involvement of that take place live at Gen Con, and it was amazing. So if you're in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area, please stop by and say hi to all of us. Well, to those of us who will be there. But anyways, take care of yourselves. Thank you all so much, and have a great night.